Come on in, come on in. I hope you are having a fabulous Thursday. Welcome to the Aries Rose Show. Welcome to Aries Rose TV. And if you're not familiar with me, my name is Aries Rose. And on this channel, we talk about streaming shows, movies, TV shows, world news, local news, celebrity news, politics, basically anything I find interesting. I come on and discuss with my Aries crew. And tonight we have a fabulous show lined up for you. So make sure you got your popcorn, your drinks, get comfortable, sit down, and let's get into some things. It's going to get a little bit messy because we get messy over here, and you're going to get Aries energy in every review. If you are on Instagram, follow us there, Aries Rose TV, and we'll follow you back. Let us know you are from YouTube when you follow us over on Instagram. You can get updates, movie reviews, all that good stuff over there. So that's just another way you can connect with the channel, and we look forward to seeing you over on Instagram at Aries Rose TV. And on the communities tab here on YouTube, they changed it up. So if you are a subscriber, you can leave questions. We can have discussions. You can let me know about trends, breaking news, all of that good stuff on the communities tab. So I use that pretty regularly. So head on over there. I look forward to having discussions with you. If you have questions or things you think I should know or topics for the show, please use that communities tab. I will definitely respond back to you. And if you have a service or a product that you would like to collaborate and advertise on the page, let me know. I'm going to leave my business email here in the description box. Reach out and we'll see if it's a good fit. And let's get into the topics that we have for today. But before we do that, you know the drill. If you've been on a live before, if you are a part of the Aries crew, leave a hashtag Aries crew in the comments. If you are a first time watcher, leave first time watcher in the comments. I want to give you a shout out for stopping by, spending part of your day here. Tonight we're going to be talking about Maurene Comey. She was a prosecutor with the Southern District of New York, and she has been fired. And she was the lead prosecutor on the Diddy trial, which the prosecution did take a hit. They did not win the RICO charges or the ex-trafficking charges that they put onto Diddy. So there's some questions about what may have triggered the firing. So, you know, we have to get into that. President Trump has announced that he's got vein disease, so we need to get a little bit more information on that. It's pretty surprising because generally President Trump is always talking about how great a health that he's in and everything's fine. No problems there. So I was shocked to see that information come out. I think the timing is curious since there's been a lot of questions about the Epstein case and whether or not there's a client list and information that's being withheld. So I find the timing interesting on when he made an announcement about having vein disease. But nonetheless, we are definitely going to talk about that. And the actor Michael Madsen, who recently passed away, his cause of death has been revealed. So we got to get into that as well. And if you are here on the live, welcome, welcome. Let me know where you are from, what state, city, or country you are from. Leave that here in the chat. And let's get into our stories for tonight. And all right, we are going to get into the Michael Madsen, and he is an actor here. He was in Reservoir Dogs, and he's had some other movies that he has been in as well. So it might not be a name that you recognize when you hear it, but you would definitely recognize his face. He was around a lot in the 90s. It's primarily when I remember seeing him the most. He was also in Kill Bill. He's also in Kill Bill as well. And he passed away recently at the young age of 67. And so he had been battling, they say, an addiction with alcohol, and that his friends and family had believed he was sober at the time of his passing, and he had been trying to lead with taking care of his health and taking care of himself and trying to turn his life around. So let's get into a little bit more about his passing. Very sad news. This reporting from TMZ. And we're going to take a quick pause here for comments. Jerry Montez, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. Definitely leave comments. They are doing a leaderboard here on YouTube here. So the more comments you post, the higher you go up in the leaderboard here. So definitely leave comments and questions here, and we will take pauses to address them. And for the reporting here on the cause of death for Michael Madsen, this is from TMZ. Michael Madsen's cause of death has been confirmed. TMZ has learned the actor passed away from cardiac arrest. TMZ has obtained the death certificate from the LA County Medical Examiner, which details his cardiac arrest was brought on by cardiomyopathy, coronary artery disease, and chronic alcoholism. Another significant condition was, let's see here though, this is a lot of medical terms, so bear with me here if I don't say them properly. Another significant condition was thromboembolic disease, blood clots causing obstruction of vessels or arteries. As we reported, Michael was found unresponsive July 3rd in his Malibu home and was pronounced dead at the scene. At the time, his rep told us he suffered cardiac arrest. He's been since cremated, according to the death certificate. TMZ broke the story. Michael was making enormous strides in his recovery from alcoholism right up until his tragic death. He'd been sober for months. The beloved actor spent years in and out of rehab programs as he battled alcohol addiction while he was struggling with depression and grappling with personal hardships, including a rocky marriage and his son's untimely death. Madsen underwent a coronary angiography, a medical imaging procedure, in May. According to the certificate, Madsen's longtime friend and assistant, Dougie Smith, previously told us the actor appeared in good health nearly a week before his death, which is usually the way it goes. You're thinking everything is all good, and then they're no longer here. After a routine doctor's appointment for his rotator cuff, making Michael's death all the more shocking. May he rest in peace. Sounds very sad. I did not know the actor was struggling with alcoholism when he was alive, but it's definitely, I think, because drinking is a little bit more accepted than rug use as a social thing, people just don't really realize that that is a very real addiction and can be very bad. And it's got a negative outcome. So, definitely, if you are struggling with any type of addiction, substance issues, definitely seek help because it's not worth your life. Do what you can to try to get off of it and try and live as healthy as you can, because we only get one life that at least we know of, and you want to try to make the best of it. And the quality of life definitely matters, and those things do not help improve your life at all. And especially if you struggle with depression, and alcohol is a depressant, it's only going to make it worse. You gotta stay away from it. No good's going to come from that. If you struggle with it, just stay away from it. Stay away from people who may make it harder for you to stay away from it. Do what you got to do. Definitely try and take care of yourself as best you can. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. What's your favorite Michael Madsen movie that he was in? He was in a lot of classics. And if you're not familiar with him, definitely go check out on YouTube, Amazon, Hulu, all those streaming places. I'm sure you'll be able to find at least one movie of his. Definitely go check it out. He was a great actor and he will be missed. And condolences go out to his family and friends during this difficult time. And let's get into Maurene Comey. So, Maurene Comey is the daughter of the former FBI Director James Comey. He is no longer with the FBI, or no longer with the federal government, but he was during the time of in 2000, I know around 2016, and he had been in there for years before that. He was definitely in that FBI director position, because I remember when it was Hillary Clinton and President Trump were going against each other during the time, which then later became his first term, but the first time he had run for president, when those two were going against each other, Hillary as a Democrat and President Trump as a Republican. That's when Comey had released the findings talking about potentially Hillary Clinton had had sensitive information on a personal server. Like, there was a question about why he released that information so close to when people were going to vote. Like, is he trying to sabotage her ability to win by releasing that information at that timing? So I remember that was like a big, big deal. And that's when he kind of first fell on my radar there. and I have to double check. I'm not 100. I can't remember specifically as it relates to James Comey if Trump had let him go when he was initially in office the first time around for his first term. But I know he's no longer the FBI director, but his daughter, Maurene Comey, was the lead prosecutor at the Southern District of New York. And it's a well-known district, and they have a pretty high conviction rate. So, it's kind of always thought of, if you get in trouble with the Southern District of New York, you're most likely going down, because those are some of the top prosecutors that are in that area. And Maureen Comey was also a prosecutor on the Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell trial, as well as most recently Diddy. So for the Diddy trial, in my humble opinion, the prosecution had a devastating slash humiliating loss, because they had charged Diddy with RICO, racketeering, and X trafficking, and I'm assuming they thought everything they had presented in court was kind of a grand slam and was going to lead to that conclusion with the jury. And it did not. The jury did not come to the same conclusion that those charges fit the situation. And Diddy was found not guilty of those. Now, he was found guilty for trafficking, I think, for basically for adult activity, moving people around to engage in adult activity. He was charged with that, but out of all of the charges that were given to Diddy, those were the lesser of the charges, so he will get a lighter sentence than if he was convicted for racketeering or X trafficking. So I think it wasn't a good look myself. I felt like, even with hearing, I was not in the courtroom, but, of course, following people who were in the courtroom giving updates, and watching the videos on the testimony and the trial of what was going on to kind of get caught up on there. I did not feel that the prosecution had really presented a strong enough case to say that's what was happening. Some say it was the issue of consent, because that was kind of a gray area in here, because people were putting on text that they wanted to do it, and they seemed like they were into it and actively participating, whether that be finding the escorts, paying for the escorts. So it gave off an impression that they wanted to, but, was it really a genuine want, or was it because you feared repercussions, because this person, in this instance, Diddy, could control your livelihood, how much money you make, your ability to be successful in the music. Like in Cassie's case, she had a 10-album deal with him. So he was kind of in control of her music career and the trajectory of where it went. And so, was she really able to do that on her own? Or was it more of a control thing from this person, and you just felt you had to do that in order to be financially okay and to keep living the lifestyle that you had? So, some people say some of that made it harder for the jury to kind of see it in another direction. And I do agree with that. If somebody is not saying no, and they're not, actively trying to seemingly say, I don't want to do this, or push back, I think it might be harder to say, was this a choice, or did you feel coerced or forced? Nonetheless, we're still at the same place where Diddy was not convicted of the higher charges. And less than a month of that verdict being read, I want to say it was just earlier this month, that verdict was read, if not the end of June. So just within a couple of weeks, Maureen Comey has been fired. And the reason she's been let go is not known, but there's also some talk of, because she was on the Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell case. And, that's got a lot of uproar still going, because people feel like the Trump administration is not being forthcoming, that they were saying that there was a client list and that there was this mountain of information, and now there's nothing here, there's nothing more we're going to be able to provide regarding what was going on with Epstein. It's got people feeling like there may be some kind of a cover up, and they may be trying to um, get rid of Maureen Comey because of her involvement with that particular case. But let's get into why, or what information we have on why she was let go here. And give me a second here to bring this information up. All right, so this is from TMZ. And this reporting is: Diddy's controversial verdict may have cost the lead prosecutor in the case her job. because a new report indicates Maurene Comey has been fired. TMZ has confirmed. Law enforcement sources tell us the daughter of the former FBI director, James Comey, was let go from her job as a prosecutor in the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York on Wednesday. The report hinges on two sources who spoke on the condition of anonymity since they weren't allowed to publicly reveal the news. We've reached out to the U.S. Attorney's Office for more info. By the way, Comey also has a connection to two infamous figures in politics, Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. She worked on the case against both of them, and she ultimately got the jury to return a guilty verdict against Maxwell. It's worth remembering that Maurene's father has a long-standing beef with President Trump as well, and James even faced backlash for a political message he posted on his Instagram earlier this year. Some reports have indicated the Justice Department may launch an investigation into James Comey, though there's no evidence to suggest the firing is connected to that. As you know, Diddy was convicted on 2 Mann Act counts and acquitted on 2 counts of ex-trafficking and 1 count of racketeering. He's scheduled to be sentenced in early October and remains locked up in MDC, Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. We reached out to the Southern District of New York. They declined to comment. So as more information comes out on this story, you can get your updates here on Aries Rose TV. If you haven't already done so, you've been on the live this long, we'd love to have you a part of the Aries crew. It's free to join. All you got to do is hit that subscription button and then hit that notification bell so you can find out every time I go live, post videos, post shorts, post on the community page, and all of that good stuff. And you can get your updates here on the Diddy trial, what's going on with Maurene Comey, as well as the other pending lawsuits and trending news as well, so you always know what's going on. You just got to go to that one-stop shop here at Aries Rose TV. And now we're going to get into our last story for tonight, talking about Trump and the announcement that he has a vein disease. But before we move on to that, let me know what you think of lead prosecutor Maurene Comey being fired from the U.S. Attorney's Office. Let me know if you think it's related to the Epstein case. Do you think it has to do with the fact that it was in my opinion, a humiliating loss in the Diddy trial to have something so public, and they made a big deal about raiding his homes and the baby oil and all of this stuff. You had Cassie come out and testify, putting all her information out there, good, bad, and ugly, and it was a lot of ugly. Jane Doe testifying, Mia testifying, former assistants, everybody putting their business out there, what they experienced and or saw with Diddy. And then just to have it come back as not guilty. I mean, it was about as high profile as you can get next to the OJ trial, in my opinion. So yeah, I think that was a pretty bad look for the prosecution. I think that was a pretty bad look for the Southern District of New York. And I'm told, it was a lot of money that it took for trying that case, just for it to come back with some of the biggest charges, not guilty, not to mention the time and all of that stuff. So, I'm not entirely surprised. I have to say, I'm not entirely surprised that she was let go. I had a feeling that was not just going to end with Diddy being found not guilty. There was going to be more to come with that. But I definitely want to keep the conversation going. The Aries crew has some very interesting opinions on things. Let's keep that conversation going here in the comments. And now let's get into this announcement here from President Trump about vein disease here. And I am pretty surprised that that is something that's being shared, because I feel like any health stuff related to President Trump, he really does not share out. So the fact that that's being shared, I find very interesting. And I also think the timing is very interesting. Not to say that this may not be legit, because I'm not his doctor, don't have access to his medical records, so I can't verify one way or another. But I do find the timing very curious, because there's a lot of talk about what's going on with Epstein and whether or not they're being honest and transparent, or if they're trying to hide something. Because as you know, Elon Musk, former BFF to President Trump, has insinuated, well, he flat out said that those files were not being released because President Trump is in them. And then that tweet disappeared. That tweet was deleted, but he still said it, and I'm sure people screenshotted that. So that stuff's going to echo out there, because Elon Musk was as close as you can get to President Trump, at least in the beginning. Their relationship's not so good now, but it was at one point in time. So I don't know if he was speaking from a place of knowledge or if he's just mad at him and he was just saying something. I don't know, but I know that conversation has not died down regarding Epstein and the Epstein files, and it doesn't sound like that's going to be happening anytime soon. So I think the announcement about the health stuff might just be a distraction, but we're still going to get into it here. And this is from TMZ reporting. And it says President Trump has been diagnosed with a vein disorder, the White House revealed Thursday. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt spoke to the press corps from the White House briefing room today, and she announced the president has chronic venous insufficiency, a condition where blood in the legs struggles to circulate throughout the rest of the body. According to the Cleveland Clinic, CVI can lead to blood pooling in the legs, causing high pressure in those veins. The clinic says about 1 in 20 adults is affected, mostly adults over the age of 50. Trump turned 79 last month. Recent photos of Trump seem to show his badly swollen ankles, and he's had to address bruising on his hands this week as well, which he appears to be covering up with the makeup. Leavitt calls CVI a, quote, benign and common condition, end quote, and she says there's no sign of deep vein thrombosis, the medical term for a blood clot. Leavitt said the bruising on President Trump's hand has nothing to do with CVI, but instead was caused by numerous handshakes and aspirin, which he said he's taken to prevent cardiac issues. The Prez is a very busy guy, hitting up the FIFA Club World Cup final on Sunday, and we'll have to wait and see if he needs to cut back on the schedule because of this new diagnosis. So we will definitely be following this, and we will provide any updates here on Aries Rose TV. Let me know what you think about this recent diagnosis that's been shared about President Trump. Do you think it's being shared as a distraction? Do you think that he's just giving us a health update here? Because he did have a lot of criticisms about the Biden administration not being forthcoming about what was going on with President Biden and his health status. So I wonder if he's just trying to do something opposite during here. But let me know what your thoughts are here in the comments. Definitely want to keep that conversation going. We will be back on live tomorrow night. We go live every weeknight here, so you can definitely find your updates on what's going on in pop culture here. You can check out our live videos. We've done a lot of lives starting in April, so you can find a little bit of everything because we talk about a little bit of everything here. So if you like that, you want to hear a little bit about a lot, come on in, join the Aries crew. We'd love to have you here. In the description box, I will have my business email there posted. So if you have a business or a service that you'd like to advertise and you want to collaborate on the channel here, definitely reach out to me and I will follow back up to you. We'll also have a GoFundMe posted in the description box as well. The GoFundMe is for a memorial fund that was set up for the father of my children that passed away in June. We want to hold a memorial for him, and he passed away unexpectedly, and we were not financially prepared for him to pass away and no longer be in our lives. So to definitely send him off with dignity, we are trying to raise funds for a memorial. Anything that's left over will go towards the care of our children and towards the expenses that go with a person passing. There's lots of different things you have to take care of, things you have to close down. So anything you can donate is greatly appreciated. No amount is too small. And if all you can do is share the GoFundMe link, that is appreciated as well. That means a lot. You can also find that GoFundMe link on the communities tab as well. Thank you so much for watching. Share this live out with family and friends. It helps the channel to grow. And if you can like the video on your way in, that would mean a lot. It's a free way to support the channel and it goes a long way. Look forward to seeing you on Friday as we TGIF to get ready for the weekend. Have a wonderful rest of your day, evening, or night, whichever time you are watching this, and we'll see you later.